My name is Dave Votypka. I'm the creative director of Homefront, and you are watching Platform 32.
Homefront from THQ puts you in the boots of heroic resistance soldiers as they battle to free America from the grip of the Greater Korean Republic, and it gives us a glimpse as to what life would be like if one of the world's biggest powers was overthrown and turned into nothing more than a gigantic prison camp. The intense single-player campaign is joined by an epic 32-player online mode supported by dedicated servers, and Platform 32 were lucky enough to be invited along to a preview event where we got to test out the multiplayer mode and interview Dave Votypka, the creative director on Homefront. So Dave, for Homefront noobs, what's the game all about?
Homefront is a first-person shooter. It's set in the year 2027, and the concept behind the game is about really experiencing occupied America. In the single player, you play as a civilian resistance force. We really focus on the human civilian side of it. These civilians turn freedom fighters. And in the multiplayer side, it's a large-scale warfare game. Tanks, helicopters, drones. Some great innovations we brought of this battle point system, which is an in-game point spending economy where you're spending or saving and making on-the-fly strategic choices amidst this big multiplayer carnage and battle going on around you.
I love games with deep, immersive storylines, the type that really draw me in and make me feel for the characters, where the development of the story and the overall atmosphere of the game is key to making a believable experience. Metro 2033 and BioShock are good examples of this, but will Homefront follow suit, or is it more comparable to all-out action explosion fests like COD or Medal of Honor?
Yeah, no, I'd put the storyline in the way we did it in this much more in the story-based shooters. So the Metro 2033 is the Half-Life 2s. Like Half-Life 2 was a direct inspiration for us with their in-game storytelling system. We wanted to get away from cutscenes. We wanted to create this occupied America where you come through and once you're immersed in it, you're not interrupted by the cutscenes, and you really get to know the characters, and by having them sort of tell you the plot and bring it along as you're playing through the game, we really like how that mechanic works from a gaming experience standpoint.
A game that relies on good storytelling needs a top writer to pen the tale. To help tell the story of the resistance fighters in Homefront, Chaos Studio secured the talents of John Milius, the famous Hollywood screenwriter who wrote Red Dawn and co-wrote Apocalypse Now. How did it feel working with someone of his caliber?
Yeah, working with John Milius was really amazing. I mean, he's basically a Hollywood legend. Red Dawn was a big inspiration for me in coming up with the original sort of, good desire and goal and vision for Homefront. And later when he came onto the game through Danny Bilson, I was supercharged to have him on the game. And I think he helped push us to really create that idea of occupation and civilian resistance and what people would do in extreme circumstances. And I think you'll see that when you play through the single-player campaign.
Last September, I spoke to Brian Helinka, the senior multiplayer designer on Homefront, and since that piece was aired, a lot of viewers on our YouTube channel have been asking questions about the multiplayer portion of the game. I picked the best of the bunch and posed them to Dave. So Dave, a lot has been mentioned about the ground control multiplayer game type, but what other game types will we be able to play when the game is released?
So ground control is one of the main game types. Of course, we'll have TDM, Team Deathmatch, but another special game type that we released and we're talking about is Battle Commander, which can be associated on top of ground control or TDM, for example. And Battle Commander is really, the original goal with that was to data mine the multiplayer match, to have these two AI commanders on the opposing team flagging events that the players are doing and happening. So when a player, for example, gets on a kill streak, there's familiar FPS mechanics that is based on kill streaks, escalation, rewards. That player will get a priority threat level, and he can go from 1, 2, 3, 4 up to level 5. And players on the other team, their battle commander will alert that priority threat to them and assign 2, 3 hunters to start to track this player down. So the threat player will get these rewards and get battle points for getting additional kills. And as he does, and as his threat level increases, more and more hunters will be assigned to. If he gets to threat level 5, actually the whole team will be after him, but he'll also have some pretty powerful buffs.
During the preview event, I was given time to try out the Battle Commander mode, and managed to get myself marked as a level 4 threat. Enemies came at me fast, the action was more hectic, and I felt that nowhere was safe. Scary stuff, but it also made me feel like a super soldier. With each kill I made while marked awarding me more points, it gave me a real feeling of dominating the battlefield and being a one-man army. One of the biggest sells on Homefront's multiplayer is the battle points system, which lets you buy weapons and vehicles on the fly using points you have earned as you play the match. There have been concerns though that this may encourage spawn camping, with people hanging around spawn points gathering XP so they can buy the best equipment quickly. Has anything been done in the game to prevent this from happening?
Yeah, we have various spawn camping systems in the game. Some of them is spawn protection for a few seconds until you fire your weapon to give you a chance to take cover. You're actually invisible to air vehicles for a few seconds after you spawn. And then there's some interesting stuff in Battle Commander as well, where a player can get on a spawn camping streak, but he won't get any rewards for it. He'll just be flagged as a priority threat. So spawn campers will be flagged and identified, and killing the spawn camper will give you rewards.
Well, Dave, to be honest, killing spawn campers is reward in itself for me, but it's great to see that these issues have already been addressed. Games like Battlefield and Call of Duty often have hardcore modes which remove the on-screen maps and visual aids to make the game harder and more lifelike. Will we be seeing a hardcore mode in Homefront?
We're not doing that so much. It's more, there's a persistent unlock tree where, you're going to have to invest some time and some skill to get up to the top and unlock everything. But we haven't done any, removed the HUD completely or anything like that.
As the game progresses, if one team is doing amazing and its members have amassed a load of battle points and acquired all the heavy weaponry, will it basically be game over for the opposing team, or is it possible for people to turn situations like this around?
No, actually, the way we've done the game mode, it's an interesting question, because in Frontlines, the previous game we worked on, it could get that way, where you're sort of back against the wall and it's very difficult to fight your way out. But ground control, for example, in Homefront, it kind of uses a fighting model mechanic where it's, best out of 3. So as you're holding control points, you have these 2 meters, one for each team, and they're getting, increasing the longer you hold the objectives. Then whoever fills their meter first gets that first point. And then it's a best out of 3 scenario. But what it leads to, and one of the design goals with it, was to really create these sort of very close endings. Because you can see these points going up, and you're down by 1 or it's tied, and it's a much better way to really create these very intense endings and close ones.
The most popular question that was asked about Homefront's multiplayer was a simple one based on the ability to purchase vehicles with battle points, and it goes something like this. What happens if all 32 people buy tanks?
Well, there is a vehicle limit cap, so they wouldn't be able to, but the chance of them all having enough battle points at the same time to buy a tank is probably not that likely.
So, sadly, the chance for ultimate tank warfare is 0%. But at least that means the probability of a tank lurking behind every corner you walk around will be low also, which is great for the types of gamers who hate spawning, dying, spawning, and dying repeatedly in a game, which is pretty much everyone. Finally, after spending so long working on the game, I was curious to know what Dave's survival plan would be if an invasion like the one featured in Homefront ever took place. I'd probably dig a little hole in the ground and lie in it crying.
Well, fortunately, we've done a lot of studying about what to do in a post-EMP world. Survival plan would probably be go to the mountains. And, we have, you'll see in the game, actually, there's a lot of sort of post-peak oil, post-EMP retrofitted living. Everything from a Stairmaster turned into a water pumping system, to solar panels and windmills and growing your own food. So we've actually done a lot of research on it, so I have a lot of books I can bring with me, and I'll be ready.
So now we know what Dave would do if North Korea invaded, but what would you do? Well, you don't have to wait long to find out, as Homefront is out in the UK on Friday the 18th of March, and from what I've played so far, it looks set to make all the other first-person shooter games on the market lay down their arms and start waving the white flag.